They told you it was a comet, just ice and rock from another star. Clean story, safe story. But on October 24, 2025, at 0410 Universal Time, South Africa's Meerkat radio telescope array picked up something nobody expected. 64 dishes, each 13.5 meters wide, all locked on a speck moving through our solar system at 221,000 kilometers per hour. The object? 3I Atlas. The signal? Hydroxyl absorption lines at 1,665 and 1,667 megahertz. Natural chemistry, they said. Water breaking down in sunlight. Except Meerkat tried twice before in September and got nothing. Radio silence. Then 5 days before 3I Atlas hit its closest point to the sun. The signal appeared sharp, clean, matching calculations for thermal motion at 230 degrees Kelvin to within 0.8 kilometers per second. Who talks about comets like that? Scientists who need you to believe they know exactly what this thing is. You want the story without the spin? Here it is. July 1st, 2025, Rio Hurtado, Chile. The asteroid terrestrial impact. Last alert system telescope, Atlas Unit 04 at ELSOS site managed by OBSTEC, caught movement against the dense star fields of the galactic plane. Faint, 18th magnitude. Entering the inner solar system at 61 kilometers per second relative to the Sun. Location, 3.50 astronomical units from Earth, 4.51 from the Sun, sliding along the border between Serpens Cauda and Sagittarius constellations. By July 2nd, the Minor Planet Center had 122 observations from 31 different observatories. Eccentricity, 6.137. That number means one thing, not gravitationally bound to our Sun, coming from outside. The third confirmed interstellar object ever detected after 1I Oumuamua in October 2017 and 2I Borisov in August 2019. They gave it the designation 3I for interstellar and C/2025 N1 for the comet catalog. David Jewett and Jane Liu confirmed it using the Nordic Optical Telescope on July 2nd. Clearly active, diffuse appearance. Miguel Alarcon's team at Instituto de Astrofísica de Canarias used the Teide Observatory's 2-meter twin telescope same day. Cometary activity confirmed. Reddish coma, dust heavy, similar to 2I Borisov. Pre-discovery observations kept stacking. Zwicky Transient Facility caught it June 28 and 29, found within hours of the initial report. More ZTF frames from June 14th to 21st. Atlas itself had it from June 25th to 29th. Amateur astronomer Sam Dean traced additional Atlas shots back to June 5th through 25th. Why wasn't it spotted earlier? It was passing in front of the Galactic Center, buried in dense star fields where comets disappear. NASA's Transiting Exoplanet Survey satellite had observed it May 7th to June 3rd, 2025, without anyone knowing. 6.4 astronomical units from the Sun, already bright and active, not water ice sublimating. Too far, too cold. Something more volatile, carbon dioxide. Carbon monoxide, ices that turn to gas when most comets are still frozen solid. If you value documented deep space observation and radio astronomy like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from the Astronomer's Telegram posting by D.J. Pisano and collaborators at the South African Radio Astronomy Observatory, published November 8th, 2025, Mount Or. Reporting the first radio detection with precise Doppler velocity measurements and line widths. And from the Archive preprint server paper 2508.15768 by T. Marshall Eubanks, titled 3I Atlas Direct Spacecraft. Exploration of a possible relic of planetary formation at cosmic noon. Detailing kinematic analysis showing thick disk origin and incoming velocity at infinity of 57.976 3 plus or minus 0.0044 kilometers per second. Now back to the information. Hubble Space Telescope locked on July 21st, 2025. The comet sat 277 million miles from Earth. Hubble showed a teardrop-shaped cocoon of dust streaming off the solid, icy nucleus. Because Hubble tracked the comet's hyperbolic trajectory, stationary background stars streaked in the exposure. From that image and follow-up shots through August 20th, astronomers nailed the upper limit on nucleus diameter, 5.6 kilometers, could be as small as 440 meters across. James Webb. Space Telescope went deeper. NIRSpec instrument. Inbound trajectory. Detected carbon dioxide in the gas cloud around the nucleus. The ratio? Carbon dioxide to water approximately 8:1. One of the highest ratios measured in any comet ever observed. Smaller amounts of carbon monoxide, water, carbonyl sulfide. Water ice and dust also present. Martin Cordner's NASA team published findings accepted at Astrophysical Journal letters that carbon dioxide dominance means something. Either 3I Atlas has a carbon dioxide-rich nucleus, or some mechanism is blocking water sublimation. Hypotheses: exposed to high radiation levels, or formed close to the carbon dioxide frost line in its parent star's protoplanetary disk. Alternative: unusually thick insulating crust hiding water underneath. Very large telescope in Chile caught something else: nickel. Not just trace amounts. Glowing nickel vapor in the gas surrounding the comet at extraordinary distance from the sun, where temperatures stay far too cold for metals to normally vaporize. First significant detection visit, 5 on July 23, 2025, at 3.78 astronomical units from the sun. Emission strengthened toward later epochs. Iron should appear with nickel in roughly solar proportions. Early measurements showed strong nickel emission, but weak iron. Puzzling imbalance began to normalize as the comet approached the sun. Chemical signatures, reflecting both ancient origins and a long journey through interstellar space. Cosmic ray bombardment over billions of years created a crust estimated at 50 to 65 feet thick, transforming carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide, altering the surface. Where did it come from? You can't trace it back to a single star. Been traveling around the Milky Way for billions of years, enough time to get mixed around with other stars. Gravity assists from close encounters with stars and nebulae changing at speed. September 2025, study by Yang Guo found 3I Atlas may have passed within 1 parsec, 3.3 light years, of 25 known stars in the past 10 million years. But you can deduce the region, break down its hyperbolic excess velocity into radial U, transverse VI, and vertical W components in the galactic coordinate system. When it arrived, it was moving away from the galactic center with velocity U equals negative 51.0 kilometers per second relative to the Sun, moving upward through the galactic plane with velocity W equals positive 18.5 kilometers per second relative to the Sun. That W velocity, high, very high compared to nearby stars and other interstellar objects. The comet follows a tilted orbit around the Milky Way. Belongs to either the thin disk or thick disk populations. Thick disk mainly consists of older stars, lower levels of heavy elements than the Sun. July 2025 study led by Matthew Hopkins, part of the Otautahai Oxford Model Research Team. Estimated with 68% confidence that 3I Atlas is between 7.6 and 14 billion years old, based on typical ages of stars in the thick disk, where its trajectory suggests it originated, 7 billion years old. Our solar system is 4.54 billion years old. Earth is 4.54 billion years old. If 3I Atlas formed 7 to 14 billion years ago, it witnessed cosmic noon, peak star formation in the galaxy 9 to 13 billion years ago. A relic from when the Milky Way was young and violent. Michelle Bannister at University of Canterbury in New Zealand, from a star that's potentially not even there anymore. Astor Taylor at University of Michigan performed different age analysis based on trajectory. 11 billion to 3 billion years old. Similar answers from independent methods. Chris Lintott, Oxford astrophysicist and presenter of BBC's The Sky at Night. We think there's a 2/3 chance this comet is older than the solar system. And it's been drifting through interstellar space ever since. An object from a part of the galaxy we've never seen up close before. What does that mean for composition? If it formed around a low metallicity star in the thick disk, parent star could have heavy element abundance, at least 40% of the Sun's, different chemistry, different conditions. Water ice still expected to be rich because thick disk stars, while metal poor, can still form icy planetesimals. But the carbon dioxide dominance, the nickel emission, the weird iron ratios, those are fingerprints from another place, another time. The comet kept moving past Mars. October 3rd, 2025 at 29 million kilometers, ES's ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter and Mars Express both captured images. Cassay's camera and high-resolution stereo camera got clean shots. By mid-October, solar conjunction approached. The Sun sat between Earth and 3I Atlas, blocking direct observation from ground-based telescopes and near-Earth space assets. October 21st, solar conjunction occurred. The comet traveled very close to Earth's orbital plane around the Sun. Minimum angular separation, 2.59 degrees on October 21st, when the comet was 2.4 astronomical units from Earth. Observation window, narrow, difficult, critical. This is where Meerkat enters. The South African Radio Astronomy Observatory operates Meerkat, 64 dishes, forming one of the most sensitive radio telescope arrays on the planet. They tried September 20th, 2025, from 1436.54 to 1539, 25 universal time, RMS noise of 3 millijansky per beam, nothing. Tried again September 28th, from 10:00:26 to 16:55:53 universal time, RMS noise of 1 millijansky per beam, still nothing. The comet wasn't active enough yet, not close enough to the sun, not hot enough. Hydroxyl molecules weren't being produced in detectable quantities. October 24th, 2025, angular separation of 3I Atlas from the sun, 3.76 degrees, 7 times the diameter of the sun in the sky. Just 5 days before perihelion, closest approach to the sun, scheduled for October 29th at 1.36 astronomical units, 203 million kilometers, lies between orbits of Earth and Mars. The geometry finally aligned. Hydroxyl absorption signal detected in 2 spectral lines at radio frequencies of 1,665 and 1,667 gigahertz. Both lines revealed absorption at Doppler velocity shifts. First line, negative 15.59 plus or minus 0.16 kilometers per second. Second line, negative 15.65 plus or minus 0.17 kilometers per second. Full width at half maximum of the absorption lines, 0.88 plus or minus 0.37 and 1.26 plus or minus 0.40 kilometers per second respectively. What does that prove? Hydroxyl radicals, OH molecules, come from water. When sunlight hits water ice in a comet's coma, ultraviolet radiation breaks H2O molecules into hydroxyl and hydrogen. The OH absorbs radio waves at specific frequencies, 1,665 and 1,667 megahertz are the classic hydroxyl lines. Textbook comet physics. The Doppler shift results from the full speed of 3I Atlas relative to Earth, 98 kilometers per second, times the sine of the angle between direction of relative motion and Meerkat's line of sight to the comet on October 24th. That angle, 9.2 degrees, velocity vector nearly perpendicular to line of sight. The thermal broadening, at a distance of 1.38 times the Earth-Sun separation, surface temperature roughly 230 degrees Kelvin. Solar heating rate scales inversely with separation squared. Surface cooling scales as temperature to the 4th power. Square root of 1.38 gives the temperature ratio. Thermal speed of OH molecules at 230. Kelvin yields line broadening full width at half maximum of approximately 0.8 kilometers per second. Observed widths 0.88 and 1.26. Agreement within measurement uncertainty. Avi Loeb, King Andreas Confined, Harvard astronomer, former chair of astronomy department, head of the Galileo project, wrote about it November 8th on Medium. He'd encouraged radio observatories like Meerkat to search for radio emission from 3I Atlas 5 weeks earlier. Why? The arrival direction of 3I Atlas coincided to within 9 degrees with the arrival direction of the WOW signal detected in 1977 at a frequency of 1.420556 gigahertz. WOW signal, strong narrowband radio burst picked up August 15, 1977 by Ohio State University's Big Ear radio telescope. 72 seconds, never repeated. Astronomer Jerry Eamon circled it in red pen, wrote WOW on the printout. Enigmatic origin inferred to be extraterrestrial. The sky coordinates. Right ascension. 19 hours, 25 minutes equals 291 degrees. Declination, negative 27 degrees. On August 12, 1977. 3. I Atlas was at a distance of about 600 times the Earth-Sun separation. Light travel time of about 3 days. Sky coordinates of the comet at that moment. Right ascension. 19 hours, 40 minutes equals 295 degrees. Declination, negative 19 degrees. Separated by approximately 4 degrees in right ascension and 8 degrees in declination from the WOW signal direction. The chance of 2 random directions in the sky being aligned to that level, about 0.6%. Loeb calculated what it would take if the WOW signal originated from 3I Atlas. The detected intensity at 1,420 MHz, the distance of 600 astronomical units, assuming isotropic emission, power needed would be 0.5 to 2 gigawatts. Nuclear reactor level. For context, no radio emission has been detected from 3I Atlas, other than the hydroxyl absorption lines. Absorption, not transmission. The comet isn't sending signals. It's blocking background radio noise from the sun through natural chemistry. Loeb acknowledges this. He wrote, "So far there was no report on a radio detection of 3I Atlas other than the OH absorption signal, but he wants observers to keep watching." March 16, 2026. 3. Atlas is expected to pass within 53 million kilometers from Jupiter. At that time, NASA's Juno spacecraft will use its dipole antenna to search for a radio signal from 3 Atlas at low frequencies, ranging from 50 Hz to 40 MHz. The mainstream interpretation: 3 Atlas is a comet, natural, water-bearing, outgassing volatiles as it heats up. Every piece of observational evidence supports that hydroxyl absorption from MeerKAT. Water activity detected by NASA's Swift Observatory in July and August using ultraviolet imaging. OH emission confirmed. Dust production rates reaching 180 kilograms per second at 2 astronomical units. Carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, cyanide detected in spectra. Reddish color matching D-type asteroids and irradiated organics. Coma diameter up to 26,400 by 24,700 kilometers, about twice Earth's diameter, observed by Gran Telescopio Canarias on July 2nd, all consistent with active comet behavior. But anomalies stack up if you're looking. The object's trajectory, hyperbolic, eccentricity over 6, not bound to the sun, will pass through and leave forever, alignment with ecliptic plane of planets within 5 degrees, statistical fluke, maybe. Path takes it close to Mars and Jupiter, worlds that intrigue scientists searching for life. Remarkable fine-tuning, size estimates, nucleus diameter somewhere between 440 meters and 5.6 kilometers. If it's at the larger end, mass over 33 billion tons, 3 to 5 orders of magnitude more massive than Oumuamua and Borisov. If interstellar objects follow a size distribution, we should see many more small ones than large ones. Why is the third interstellar object detected potentially the biggest? Theorists don't like that. Statistically, extremely unlikely. Non-gravitational acceleration detected. As the comet releases gas unevenly from its surface, jets act like tiny thrusters, subtly altering trajectory. Radial acceleration away from the Sun at perihelion distance of 1.36 astronomical units, 135 kilometers per day squared. Transverse acceleration relative to Sun's direction, 60 kilometers per day squared, measurements published. Natural explanation: outgassing of volatiles. Florian Neukart at Leiden. Institute of Advanced Computer Science ran models. Preprint not yet peer-reviewed. Ordinary outgassing of water, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide can account for the acceleration. No need for exotic volatiles. No need for non-natural hypotheses. Second tail pointing toward the Sun. Anti-tail. Many comets show this as optical illusion from our viewing angle when they pass between Earth and Sun. But Loeb argues 3 Atlas's anti-tail differs, not a result of geometric perspective. Never reported before for solar system comets. Ice fragments evaporate after some time, but enhanced mass loss on sun-facing side means bigger fragments can reach large distance. Maybe. Or maybe it's observation bias in viewing geometry nobody bothered to model precisely because everyone's focused on other things. Polarimetry data. Preprint study shows 3. Atlas exhibits extreme negative polarization, suggesting completely new type of comet, unlike any observed before. Different dust properties, different scattering behavior, could mean different formation environment, could mean billions of years of cosmic ray bombardment changed surface properties beyond recognition. Could mean it's carrying material processed in ways our solar system comets never experienced. The scientific community remains nearly unanimous. 3 Atlas is a natural object. Comet, interstellar but ordinary in mechanism. Dr. Cyrielle Opitom, Chancellor's Fellow at Institute for Astronomy, University of Edinburgh. These observations indicate that OH was detected in 3 Atlas on October 24th. OH is a product of breakdown of water, usually the most abundant molecule in cometary ices, in the atmosphere of the comet. This means the comet is currently releasing water, which is expected for a comet that just passed its closest passage to the Sun. DJ Pisano and collaborators in the Astronomer's Telegram posting. Absorption features are consistent with expected OH level population due to heliocentric velocity of the comet. Detection of OH on October 24th, 2025, contrasts with MeerKAT non-detection of these lines on September 20th and September 28th. If you want factual space science and deep research that cuts through speculation, subscribe now. Supporting this work means we can keep digging into technical papers and observatory data instead of recycling headlines. Comment which city you're watching from. This analysis draws from live science reporting published November 11th, 2025 by Harry Baker, covering MeerKAT detection details and debunking artificial signal claims. and from IFL Science article published November 13th, 2025, explaining hydroxyl formation chemistry and September observation attempts that came up empty. Back to the signal. Why does this matter beyond comet classification? Because of what it represents. Detection method. Timing. Implications for interstellar object studies going forward. Before Meerkat's October 24th observation, attempts to detect radio signals from 3, I-Atlas, failed. The comet was real, visible in optical and infrared wavelengths, but radio quiet. Then, geometry changed. Solar proximity increased, activity ramped up, hydroxyl production crossed detection threshold. The success proves observational strategy. Target interstellar comets near perihelion when outgassing peaks, and angular separation from Sun allows radio observation against solar background emission. That window is narrow. Miss it, and you get nothing. Broader context: how many interstellar objects exist? Models suggest trillions wandering the Milky Way, most too small or dark to detect. Vera Rubin. Observatory begins full operations soon. Legacy survey of space and time will image the entire southern sky every few nights. Predictions say it could detect dozens of interstellar objects per year, maybe hundreds, each one a sample from a different star system, each one carrying chemical fingerprints from formation conditions light years away. Meerkat's hydroxyl detection of 3I Atlas establishes protocol. When you catch an interstellar comet, hit it with radio telescopes at the right moment, measure composition through absorption and emission spectroscopy, compare to solar system comets, find differences, build statistical sample. Start answering questions about how common water is across the galaxy, how varied comet chemistry gets between different stellar environments, whether organic molecules we associate with life's building blocks appear everywhere or only in certain conditions. 3. I-Atlas continues outbound. November 11th, 2025, images from Virtual Telescope Project captured by Gianluca Massi show tail growing longer, no signs of decay, intact after perihelion passage. December 19th, 2025, closest approach to Earth at 270 million kilometers, 1.8 astronomical units. Safe distance, no threat. March 16th, 2026, Jupiter flyby at 53 million kilometers. Juno's dipole antenna searches for low-frequency radio emission. If it finds something artificial, everything changes. If it finds nothing or more hydroxyl chemistry, the comet classification stands. By late 2026, 3I Atlas fades from view. Too far, too dim. Instruments lose track. It vanishes into interstellar space, continuing a journey that started billions of years ago, heading nowhere in particular, carrying secrets from the thick disk of an ancient galaxy we've only begun to understand. What can we say with certainty? 3's I-Atlas was discovered July 1st, 2025, by Atlas Telescope in Chile. Confirmed interstellar by orbital eccentricity over 6 and hyperbolic trajectory. Nucleus estimated between 440 meters and 5.6 kilometers diameter. Active comet with carbon dioxide-dominated coma, unusual nickel emission, reddish color, and dust production. Age likely 7 to 14 billion years based on kinematic thick disk origin analysis. Arrived from direction within 9 degrees of 1977 WOW signal. Meerkat radio telescope detected hydroxyl absorption lines. October 24th, 2025, at 1,665 and 1,667 megahertz, with Doppler shifts of negative 15.59 and negative 15.65 kilometers per second, and line widths matching thermal broadening at 230 Kelvin. Previous attempts. September 20th and 28th detected nothing. Detection constitutes first radio confirmation of 3I Atlas and provides direct evidence of water outgassing consistent with natural comet behavior. That's the data. Clean, sourced, no embellishment. Now, the question nobody wants to ask out loud, but everyone's thinking, what if the simplest explanation isn't the right one? Not because we have proof otherwise, because we have a pattern of assumptions. When Oumuamua showed non-gravitational acceleration in peculiar elongated shape and tumbling motion in high albedo, the scientific consensus settled on outgassing, even though no coma was detected, no dust, no gas emissions visible. Natural object. Done. When Borisov appeared with more traditional comet features, coma, tail, carbon monoxide, everyone exhaled. See? Normal interstellar comet. Proof the first one was natural, too. Now 3. I-Atlas, bigger than both, older than both. Carbon dioxide ratios unlike anything in our solar system. Nickel vapor where it shouldn't be. Trajectory aligned with planetary ecliptic. Direction matching the most famous unexplained radio signal in CD history. and hydroxyl detection that only worked when geometry and timing hit a specific sweet spot after 2 failed attempts. The standard model says, comet, thick disk origin, billions of years old, natural chemistry, outgassing. We're seeing it up close for the first time. Of course it looks weird. It's from somewhere else. That explanation covers every data point if you're willing to accept each anomaly as independent coincidence. Ecliptic alignment, 1 in 20 chance, happens. Large size, we got lucky, caught a rare big one. Wow, signal direction, 0.6% probability, still possible. Carbon dioxide dominance, different formation environment. Nickel emission, radiation processing over billions of years, anti-tail towards sun, geometry, we haven't modeled right. Non-gravitational acceleration, outgassing, hydroxyl detection only after 2 tries, needed perihelion proximity. Every answer works in isolation, but stack them, add the timing. 3I Atlas reaches perihelion October 29th, 2025, passes Jupiter March 2026, passes through observation windows of Mars orbiters, Juno spacecraft, ground-based arrays, and space telescopes during maximum activity phase. If you wanted to design a trajectory for an object to be observed by humanity's best instruments during a narrow window when it's most active and measurable, this trajectory works. If you wanted to send a probe that doesn't announce itself but lets physics-savvy civilizations figure it out through careful observation, making them work for it, this behavior works. Hydroxyl chemistry, perfect cover, natural explanation available. But also perfect test. Only civilizations with radio astronomy and spectroscopy would detect the absorption lines. Only those paying attention during the critical observation window would catch it. Lobe's position. We should investigate all possibilities, including technological origin. Not because it's likely, because the consequences of missing it, if true, outweigh the embarrassment of checking and being wrong. The Galileo project he founded aims to search for evidence of extraterrestrial technological equipment, sensors, algorithms, systematic observation, not speculation. Data. 3I Atlas ranks somewhere on what he calls the Loeb scale, assessing potential threat and need for engagement if an object shows evidence of artificial origin. Rank 10, imminent threat, visitor in the backyard approaching front door, immediate response required. 3I Atlas isn't rank 10. It's passing through, not stopping, not approaching Earth closely. But even low rank necessitates contingency planning, because major implications to humanity if the threat or opportunity is real. The scientific method demands we follow evidence. Evidence says, comet, natural origin. All observations consistent with that hypothesis. Hydroxyl detection from Meerkat is exactly what you'd expect from a water-rich interstellar comet near perihelion. The timing, the line widths, the Doppler shifts, the previous non-detections, everything fits. Believing otherwise requires evidence that doesn't exist yet. Radio emission at artificial frequencies, structured signal, modulation, geometric shape inconsistent with natural formation, course corrections, unexplainable by outgassing. None of that has been observed. So the consensus holds. 3I Atlas is a comet. Still, the first radio signal detected from an interstellar object. The first hydroxyl absorption measurement from something born around another star. The first chemical fingerprint from the thick disk of the galaxy delivered to our doorstep. That alone makes it extraordinary. Whether it's a messenger or a time capsule or just a frozen chunk of primordial ice doesn't change what it represents. Proof that we can study material from other star systems in detail, that interstellar objects pass through regularly enough to build a catalog, that the chemistry of planet formation varies across the galaxy in measurable ways. 3I Atlas will keep moving. Instruments will keep watching until it fades. Juno's March 2026. Jupiter flyby attempt at low-frequency radio detection will either find something or confirm silence. Data will accumulate. Papers will publish. The object will leave our solar system and return to the dark between stars. In a few billion years, it might pass through another system, encounter another sun. Another planet with observers wondering what this ancient wanderer is and where it came from. We caught it for a moment, got the measurements, captured the hydroxyl signature, documented the chemistry. Now it's gone, leaving one verified fact and a dozen questions. The fact. On October 24th, 2025, at 0410 Universal Time, Meerkat detected radio absorption lines from hydroxyl radicals in the coma of interstellar object 3I Atlas at 1665 and 1667 MHz SAO. with Doppler shifts and thermal line widths consistent with water outgassing from a comet at 1.38 astronomical units from the Sun with surface temperature approximately 230 Kelvin. First radio detection of 3I Atlas. First chemical confirmation via radiospectroscopy of an object from the thick disk of the galaxy. The questions: why this size? Why this trajectory? Why this timing? Why carbon dioxide dominance? Why nickel emission pattern? Why alignment with WOW signal direction within 0.6% probability? Why did it take 3 attempts over 6 weeks to catch the hydroxyl absorption, when 2 September tries with similar instrument sensitivity failed? Why does every anomaly have a natural explanation that works in isolation, but strains credibility when you consider them as a set? Why do we assume the first explanation that fits must be the only explanation worth considering? Science advances by accumulating convergent evidence. We have convergent evidence for natural comet origin, optical observations showing dust and coma, infrared spectra showing carbon dioxide and water, ultraviolet imaging showing hydroxyl emission, radiospectroscopy showing hydroxyl absorption, non-gravitational acceleration matching outgassing models. Everything points the same direction. Comet, natural, interstellar, but ordinary in mechanism. Except ordinary interstellar comets don't exist in our experience because we've only seen 3 ever. Oumuamua, weird, no tail. Non-gravitational acceleration, tumbling, gone before we got good data. Borisov, normal looking, carbon monoxide coma, fragmented, more familiar. 3I Atlas, biggest, oldest, carbon dioxide heavy, nickel emitting, thick disk ancient, WOW signal aligned. Radio quiet until the perfect observation window opened. 3 data points, 1 weird, 1 normal, 1 complicated. From that, we're supposed to extrapolate what interstellar objects typically look like. The honest answer is, we don't know what normal is for interstellar objects, because the sample size is 3 and all 3 are different. We're pattern matching to solar system comets because that's our reference frame. But solar system comets formed 4.5 billion years ago in one protoplanetary disk around one star in one region of the galaxy. 3I Atlas formed 7 to 14 billion years ago around a different star in the thick disk with different metallicity and different radiation environment and different neighboring objects. Expecting it to behave like Halley's Comet or Hale-Bopp is assumption stacking on assumption. What would actual alien technology look like if it passed through? Depends on the aliens. If they wanted to hide, it would look like a comet. If they wanted to study us without interference, it would look like a comet. If they wanted to test whether we're advanced enough to notice subtle anomalies, it would look like a comet with subtle anomalies. If they sent a probe billions of years ago aimed at random stars, hoping one eventually develops intelligent life capable of radio astronomy, and that probe is designed to activate chemical beacons when it detects a star with rocky planets and habitable zones, and those beacons produce hydroxyl absorption signatures at frequencies any civilization with spectroscopy would recognize. And the trajectory is calculated to pass close to worlds that might harbor life. It would look exactly like 3I Atlas. Pure speculation. Zero evidence. But that's the point Loeb keeps making. Zero evidence for alien technology doesn't mean investigate nothing. It means investigate everything that crosses the threshold of measurable anomaly, and let the data decide. 3. I Atlas crossed that threshold, not because of one weird measurement, but because of the composite, the whole picture. The timing and trajectory and chemistry and detection history and age and origin and 9-degree alignment with the most famous unexplained signal in radio astronomy. The October 24th hydroxyl detection settles one question. 3. I Atlas contains water ice and is outgassing like a comet. That doesn't settle whether it's only a comet. Spacecraft have water. Bases have water. Life needs water. Detecting water doesn't prove natural origin any more than detecting carbon proves natural origin because both are ubiquitous. The absorption lines prove chemistry is happening. They don't prove intent or design or accident. The scientific consensus will remain. Comet, natural, interstellar, ancient, chemically unusual, but explainable. That consensus is probably right. The simplest explanation usually is, but probably isn't, certainly. And, in the specific case of an object 7 to 14 billion years old arriving from the same direction as a 72-second radio burst 48 years ago that was never repeated and remains unexplained, detected by radio telescope only after geometry and timing aligned perfectly 5 days before perihelion following 2 failed attempts, exhibiting carbon dioxide to water ratio of 8:1, and nickel emission patterns inconsistent with solar system comets, and non-gravitational acceleration, and trajectory within 5 degrees of the ecliptic. and passage by Mars and Jupiter during observation windows. Probably should come with asterisk. The Astronomer's Telegram posting November 8, 2025, by D.J. Pisano states findings plainly. Meerkat detected hydroxyl absorption at expected frequencies with Doppler shifts, matching comet velocity and thermal broadening, matching predicted temperature. Detection occurred October 24th. Previous attempts, September 20th and 28th, yielded no detection. Conclusion: natural cometary activity, no mention of anomalies, no discussion of a trajectory coincidences, no speculation about anything beyond confirming water outgassing. Professional, conservative, evidence-based, that's how science should work. Report observations, state conclusions supported by data, avoid speculation, let other researchers build on findings. Meerkat team did exactly that. They detected hydroxyl, they measured it, they published. The detection is real, the measurements are accurate. The interpretation as natural comet chemistry is supported by every piece of evidence they collected. What they didn't investigate, whether that chemistry is the whole story, whether hydroxyl absorption could serve dual purpose, whether an object could be designed to produce exactly those signatures while also doing something else we haven't measured yet, whether low-frequency radio emission exists below the range they observed, whether the object's passage by Jupiter in March 2026 will reveal anything when Juno's instruments probe different frequencies, whether the coincidences stack to pattern or just noise. Science doesn't ask those questions until data forces it to. Right now, data says comet. So that's the answer. If Juno detects structured radio emission in March 2026, data changes. If it detects nothing, current answer stands. If it detects more hydroxyl chemistry and nothing else, case closed. 3. I-Atlas was a comet. Ancient, unusual, chemically distinct from solar system objects, but natural. Until then, we have the first radio signal, hydroxyl absorption. October 24th, 2025, 1,665 and 1,667 megahertz. Doppler shifts negative 15.59 and negative 15.65 kilometers per second. Line widths 0.88 and 1.26 kilometers per second. Thermal broadening at 230 Kelvin. Distance 1.38 astronomical units from the Sun. 5 days before perihelion, third attempt after 2 failures. First confirmation of water outgassing from an object born around a star in the thick disk of the galaxy, 7 to 14 billion years ago, now passing through our solar system on a one-way trip back to interstellar space. That signal answered what the object is releasing: water. It didn't answer what the object is. We assume comet because that fits observations and requires no new physics and demands no uncomfortable implications. But assume is the key word. We're assuming based on 3 examples and pattern matching to local reference frames and statistical models built on solar system data. 3. I-Atlas doesn't care what we assume. It's already past perihelion, already outbound, already moving at 60 kilometers per second relative to the Sun, adding to its interstellar velocity. By the time you hear this, it's farther than it was when Meerkat detected those absorption lines. By the time Juno attempts observation in March, it will be past Jupiter, accelerating toward the edge of the solar system. By late 2026, gone. Back to the dark, carrying whatever it is, ice and dust, ancient matter, primordial chemistry, or something else, away from our Sun and toward the next star it might encounter in 10,000 or 100,000 or a million years. We got our measurement, our data point, our radio signal. First ever from an interstellar object. Not a transmission, an absorption signature, chemistry blocking background noise, natural process observable with the right instruments at the right time. That's the official record. That's what goes in the database. 3. I-Atlas. Comet. Interstellar. Detected July 1st, 2025. Observed through perihelion October 29th. Hydroxyl absorption confirmed October 24th by Meerkat at frequencies 1,665 and 1,667 megahertz. Composition carbon dioxide dominant with water ice and nickel emission R, age 7 to 14 billion years. Origin thick disk, trajectory hyperbolic, car departed solar system late 2026. No further observations planned. Clean summary, fits the template. Matches protocol for interstellar object documentation. Gets filed next to Oumuamua and Borisov. 3 comets from 3 different stars, 3 different compositions, 3 different behaviors, all classified as natural because that's what the evidence supports and what the scientific consensus agrees on, and what requires the fewest assumptions. One detail doesn't make it into official summaries: that 9-degree alignment with the WOW signal, 0.6% chance. Not impossible, just unlikely. The kind of coincidence that makes you pause, the kind of detail that sits in the back of your mind when you're trying to sleep and wondering what else we missed, what else we didn't measure, what else might be passing through that we categorize and file and forget because we had an explanation that worked well enough and moving on was easier than asking what if. 3 Atlas gave us our first radio signal from beyond the solar system's edge. Hydroxyl molecules breaking radio light. Water ice sublimating in the void. Chemistry as old as the galaxy, playing out on a wanderer that's been traveling since before Earth existed. Captured for a moment by an array of dishes in South Africa, pointing at exactly the right patch of sky at exactly the right time after 2 tries that came up empty. Signal received, message interpreted, natural comet activity confirmed, all questions answered except the ones we forgot to ask.